It was a cold night in 1959 deep in the snowy mountains of Russia. 9 young hikers huddled inside their tent trying to survive the freezing temperature. But by morning, all of them would be dead. Some had crushed skulls, one had no eyes, and another, her tongue was missing. But the most terrifying part? Whatever killed them wasn't human. At least that's what many people believe happened to these hikers, who died in one of the strangest unsolved mysteries of our time. Now, the case has been the subject of endless speculation and debate for decades. And there are countless theories about what could have happened to these poor souls. Some suggest it was a Soviet military test gone wrong, while others claim it was the work of a deranged serial killer or even an animal attack. However, the strange circumstances surrounding the case have led many to believe that there is more to the story, that the government is hiding the truth about what really happened. Let's delve into the chilling details of this case, explore the various theories, and find out what the facts tell us. In February 1959, a group of 9 experienced hikers set out to explore the Ural Mountains. The group consisted of 4 men and 5 women, all of whom were students at the University of Ural in the Soviet Union. The group was led by 23-year-old Igor Dyatlov, who was an experienced hiker and outdoorsman. Despite being well prepared for the harsh winter conditions, as the days passed, the group began to encounter a series of strange and unexplained events. First, they realized they had taken a wrong turn and were lost in the wilderness. Then strange sounds and footsteps began following them through the forest. Some of the group members even reported seeing strange lights in the sky, which nobody could explain. However, the group pressed on, determined to reach their destination despite the challenges they faced. On February, they set up camp in a remote area known as Otorten, Datla. Here, they made a shocking discovery that changed everything. In the middle of the night, they found that the temperature had dropped to an astonishing 58 degrees Celsius, far below the freezing mark. This was a dangerous situation, as hypothermia can set in quickly in such extreme cold. But instead of staying warm in the tent, several members of the group got up and unzipped the tent in the middle of the night. It's unclear why they did this, but it would have a fatal consequence. When the rescuers arrived at the campsite 2 days later, they found the tent had been cut open from the inside, and the bodies of the group were scattered around the area, some fully clothed and others only half-dressed. Moreover, their conditions suggested that they had died in agony. For example, one man had a skull crushed like an eggshell, while another had his ribs broken. But perhaps the most disturbing aspect of the scene was the state of some of the bodies. 2 of the women were found without their tongues, and one was missing her eyes. This gruesome detail suggested that the group had been targeted by a deranged killer. But there was more. Evidence pointed towards something even more sinister. Upon further investigation, it was discovered that 2 of the bodies had unusually high levels of radiation, suggesting that they had been exposed to nuclear fallout. This was highly unusual, as the area was not close to any nuclear testing sites. So how did these hikers die? What could have caused such horrific injuries? And why is this case still unsolved after all these years? Now, to understand this mystery, let's look at some of the leading theories. One of the most popular theories is that the group was killed in a military experiment gone wrong. During the Cold War, the Soviet Union conducted numerous secret experiments on its citizens, including testing new weapons and drugs. It is possible that the Dyatlov group stumbled upon one of these experiments and was killed as a result. For example, one theory suggests that the radiation exposure caused the strange symptoms in some of the bodies, while others claim that a new type of weapon was being tested in the area, and it accidentally killed the hikers. This theory is supported by the fact that the Soviet authorities were quick to take control of the investigation and prevented many of the group-'s belongings from being examined. However, there is no concrete evidence to support this claim, and it remains just a theory. Another popular theory is that the group was killed by predators. While it's unlikely that a single predator could have killed all 9 hikers, it's possible that a pack of wolves or other wild animals could have attacked the group. However, this theory doesn't explain the strange injuries and the lack of any struggle or defensive wounds on the bodies. Additionally, a predator would not have removed the tongues and eyes of the victims. Some even believe the group could have been the victim of cannibalism. Perhaps a deranged member of the group killed the others and then mutilated their bodies in a ritualistic way. However, there is no evidence to support this theory, and it is highly unlikely that one person could have killed 8 others and then mutilated all of their bodies. So what else could have killed these hikers? Well, one of the most outlandish theories is that the group was killed by aliens. While this may sound far-fetched, it is important to remember that the Soviet Union was conducting top-secret research on UFOs and extraterrestrial life at the time. It is possible that the group stumbled upon one of these extraterrestrial beings and was killed as a result. This theory is supported by the strange lights that some members of the group saw in the sky before their deaths. However, there is no concrete evidence to support this claim, and it remains just a theory. Another explanation is that an avalanche buried the hikers alive, causing them to suffocate. However, there were no signs of an avalanche in the area, and the group would have likely put up more of a fight if they had been trapped. Still, some suggest the group could have been wiped out by a sudden rock slide. This could explain the crushed skulls and the lack of external injuries, as the rock slide would have been fast and deadly, leaving no time for the victims to react. Furthermore, it could explain the strange internal injuries that some of the victims suffered. However, this theory also has its limitations, as a rock slide would not have caused the tent to be cut open from the inside, nor would it have caused the strange mutilation of some of the bodies. Another factor that adds to the mystery is the bizarre behavior of some of the group members in the days leading up to their deaths. For example, some witnesses reported seeing strange footprints in the snow that did not match those of any of the group members. Others claimed to have seen strange lights and heard strange noises in the forest, which nobody could explain. Some even claimed to have seen strange vehicles in the area, which nobody could identify. These strange occurrences could have been caused by a number of factors, including hallucinations brought on by the extreme cold or sleep deprivation. However, they could also indicate that the group had encountered something they were not supposed to see, leading to their untimely demise. As for why the government might have been involved in covering up the truth, well, there are a few possibilities. If the group had stumbled upon a secret military experiment, then it would be in the government's best interest to cover up the truth to avoid any scandal or liability. Additionally, during the Cold War, the Soviet Union was highly secretive, and any perceived weakness could be exploited by its enemies. Therefore, the government may have wanted to hide the fact that a group of Soviet citizens had been killed in such a horrific manner. Finally, the strange circumstances surrounding the case could have been too much for the authorities to handle, leading them to simply classify the case as an accident and move on. Regardless of the true cause of the Dyatlov Pass incident, it remains one of the most mysterious and debated events of the 20th century. The strange circumstances surrounding the case, the lack of concrete evidence, and the potential government cover-up have left many questions unanswered. As we continue to investigate this case, we may never know exactly what happened to these hikers. But one thing is for sure: the Dyatlov Pass incident will continue to be a source of fascination and speculation for generations to come. What do you think really happened at Dyatlov Pass? Was it a military experiment? A creature? Something supernatural? Tell us your theory in the comments. And if you want to uncover more terrifying truths, subscribe to History Nast, where we reveal the world's darkest secrets.